Pacific Rim Uprising. This movie stars John Boyega, Scott Eastwood, and Cailee Spaeny, I want to say her name is. This is obviously the sequel to Pacific Rim. Now, this time around, instead of Idris Elba, it is Idris Elba's son, played by John Boyega, and they have to go through another fight, another mecha, another story. And I'm not going to get into what happens with the mechas and the Jaegers and all that stuff, because that's something I'll let you unfold. But I'll start off by saying I recently watched the first Pacific Rim because I'd never saw it, and pretty much had low expectations when I heard about Pacific Rim. But then I heard a few good things, so I walked in and I watched it, and you know what? I respected it. I'm not a huge action guy. I'm not a huge fan of that. You know, it's not my kind of movie. So I'm never going to love that movie, but I thought the action, the score, and, you know, the cinematography, CG were done really, really well. It just lacked some characters and some story there. But because the action was so good, it elevated the entire movie. And I think a lot of people liked it because of that. And I can't say I loved the movie, but I respected the movie. And I thought it was a well-made, well-done movie. Now, Pacific Rim Uprising is pretty much what I expected the first Pacific Rim to be. This movie is forced. It is stuff we'd seen before, and they try to make it new, but it doesn't really click. And they're the big things that just didn't work for me. So this movie, as I said, stars John Boyega as Idris Elba's character. It's his son. And you follow him and this young girl played by Cailee Spaeny, and they kind of go into the cadet and they go into this school, and they have to, you know, there's been a while and they've missed out and there's been no fights and blah blah, and then of course later on there's stuff that goes down and shit like that. The thing I thought was weird was because I know they were trying to like explain it, but they did a lot of explaining in it. Like the first 3 minutes of the movie, it's just John Boyega's like narration of what happened in the first. It's like, why are you telling me what happened in the first? No one's here sitting without seeing the first movie, if that makes any sense. I don't think anyone goes, oh, I'm gonna go and see Pacific Uprising, but I haven't seen Pacific Rim. So I thought that was a bit of a waste of time, honestly, just watching that. I was like, okay, I know they're trying to explain it to us, but why bother? Why bother? You know, it just didn't click for me, this movie. I think it follows John Boyega's character, and he's fine. I think I'm the only one that didn't love him in this role. I think at times he seemed very forced in the dialogue, and it wasn't very good, and even the acting at times wasn't that good for me. Whereas the young girl I actually thought was quite good. I thought she had quite good charisma and did a lot of things well that, you know, that necessarily wasn't meant to. Even when she like annoy a character, I still thought she was better than the other character that was going on. Again, characters was a huge problem for me in the first movie. Characters and story, and these things don't get upgraded, they get downgraded. And then you look at the action aspect, and the action aspect didn't get upgraded either. You kind of wait a lot more time for fights, I feel like, in this one, and they're just a lot more over the top and not as well done. The soundtrack isn't as good, so you don't feel as immersed. The cinematography is not as good, and of course the direction is not as good. If Guillermo del Toro is not there, it's not going to be as good as a movie. I think this movie was definitely just forced out as a cash grab for a movie that surprised a lot of people, including me. And for a movie that's not my kind of genre, it just kind of felt like another Transformers movie, but a slightly better Transformers movie. It felt very much like just the shitty Transformers we've seen before, but with a little bit better value for money, like a little bit. I'm giving this movie a C-. Honestly, guys, Pacific Rim Uprising, I never sat there and said, holy crap, this is bad, but I was just never excited by it. It just kind of passed me by, and I'll probably forget about it, and especially because it's not a genre that I've really that into with the high, heavy action stuff. It's probably not as bad as some other movies I've given C-minuses to, but just purely on the non-genre factor, I've got to bump it down a bit more than it's, you know, it's not something I'm going to go back to anytime soon. Okay guys, thank you for watching my review of Pacific Rim Uprising, or Pacific Rim 2 if you will. You can click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out my last Blu-ray update, my other reviews. I just hit 100 subs and a giveaway. Check that out if you want to. Like, comment below what you thought of the movie or the review. But of course guys, have a good one.